Okay, welcome. In this video, I'm going to go over some tips and suggestions for Program 3. So let me share my screen, make sure we're recording. I'm sharing my screen. Okay, so let's take a look at Program 3. So Program 3, you're going to be implementing uh, functions. So this is the purpose of this assignment is to practice functions. So this is the main function right here, and you have to use this main function. You can't modify this main function. Now, if you decide in your menu choices option, in your process choice option, if you decide in your process choice option that you want to use character switch, then you can change this variable to a character because switch does not work well with strings. But I'm going to use if else and I'm going to keep it the way it is. So I'm going to keep the strings. All right, so a couple things about this. You are going to be doing some calculating. You're going to calculate the area and the perimeter of whatever they choose. So let's take a look at the sample output. So there's going to be a menu. They can use a T to calculate the area and perimeter of a triangle. They can pick C to calculate the area and perimeter, or in other words, circumference, but we're going to use the same variable of a circle, or Q to quit. So it only has a few menu options. Obviously, you're going to have to be able to accommodate things that are not on the list, like if they enter an X or something, then you're going to have to accommodate that. So let's this is the rules on how to calculate the area of a triangle. So you're going to have to look into how to calculate an area of a triangle and the perimeter of a triangle. So you're going to have to look into all of that. In addition, you're going to have to deal with the fact that the sum of any two sides of a triangle must be greater than the third side. So you're going to have to test when you decide to do the triangle, you're going to have to test to make sure it is a valid triangle. All right, so these are that part I'm not going to help you with, but the function part I will help you with right now, help you to get started. So for example, if the user selects a T, to do a triangle, then you get the first side and you get the second side, and then you're going to have to check to make sure that if that it is a valid triangle. So what makes it a valid triangle is that the sum of any two sides must be greater than the third side. So that's very easy to figure out. And then here's the formula to calculate the area. So take a look at that, but I will help you with the function part of this assignment. So let's get started. So I'm going to download the template. I'm going to go on to an online C++ compiler. I think I'll use this is the one I tend to use. Alrighty, so let's, did I not download the code? Oh, I did. Okay, so here's the template. All right, so let's take a look at this. You need to update your header. Uh, you would include math for the square root function. You would include string for I think you should interact also with the user's name, but also I'm using strings for this. And you should obviously use IOStream for cin and cout. So we have the area, and I called this the perimeter circumference because it's going to be a shared variable for the perimeter and also the circumference. I have a string for the quit, so that's for the menu option. I have the string for the name. You're going to get the name. And then you're going to pass the name to the menu choices function. And you're going to get the value from this function. So when you do this one right here, you will not be modifying the name. So you don't need to use a reference parameter for that. That could be a value parameter, but you are going to be modifying this value because the menu choices is going to uh, get the choice from the user and so you're going to use a reference parameter for this one. The process choice function is going to use, it's going to take the whatever choice they had. So whatever choice that they picked, it's not going to modify it. So you don't need to use a reference parameter there. But for the perimeter and the circumference and the area, you do need to use a reference parameter because I want you to print the results. Even though you calculate them in the function, I want you to print the results in the main function. So this is the initialization for the loop. This is the test condition for the loop. And this is the update for the loop. So all of that should work. This should not compile simply because of the fact that it should not compile because I don't have function prototypes here and I'm calling functions that aren't doing anything. So when I check it, it does not work because I have these function calls that are not, haven't been implemented yet. So I just have to comment that out and just want to make sure everything else is working. My name. All right, so when I hit that, I have an infinite loop. The reason I have an infinite loop is because the value of the variable quit does not have a q, and it also does not have a lowercase q. So when I hit the, it's giving me an infinite loop because there's nothing to make that loop stop. All right, so the first thing I want to do, I think I should be able to control C to stop that. Okay. So the first thing I want to do is I want to make the loop stop. So I'm going to go ahead and assign a Q to the loop. And so this way I can test my code. And when you enter the name, it's just going to quit and it's not going to do anything. All right. So that's the first thing I'm going to take care of. Now, the next thing I need to do is I need to put my function prototypes up here. And so the data type of this is string. Now I don't need to use a reference parameter because I'm not making any changes to the name inside of the function. This is also a string, but this one would be a reference parameter because I am going to be making changes. The return type is void. Now this one, uh, I'm not going to be changing, but it is a string. I'm going to process it. This one I am going to be changing. It is a double. And this one I'm also going to be changing because I'm going to be doing some calculations. All right, so these are my function prototypes, and you need to add the descriptions and everything to these, and I'm not going to do that. But then I can go down here and do my function definitions. All right, so my function definitions will be down here. So I'll give you a little bit of help. Now, in my opinion, you will have these two functions because these are the functions that are going to run the program. So this one right here is going to, you're just going to, you're just going to use the name in here to, I think if you look at the sample output, I don't know if I still have that open here, but let's take a look at the sample output really quick. I think that we interact with the first name. Yeah, so this is why you're passing the name there because you're going to interact with the first name. So in this function right here, you're going to ask the user to uh, enter T, C, or Q. Obviously, you should make it a little better, but you don't need to watch me type. So I'll just, so this is where you're just going to ask them to enter it, and then you're going to get and then you're going to get the value from them. So you're going to C in to the variable quit. So you should explain what T, C, and Q are. I, you can see here, I explain uh, to calculate what it is. So, but but I'm not going to. You should fix all, type all that out. So now we want to check and make sure that this function works. So we can call it. All right. So now we can call it, and in order to test, we can see out. I always like to put message quit is space. This way I can see what it's alrighty. And this is really controlling the loop. So this is the initialization for the loop and the test for the loop and the update for the loop. So once I run it, I get the name and then enter T, C, or Q. If I enter X, it's going to it doesn't do any kind of it's not doing any calculation yet. I did initialize everything to 0. If I enter C, it's going to want to do that, but we haven't implemented that part yet. And if I enter Q, it quits. So um, that's good. So that part is working. Now the process choice function. So in my opinion, I would add a couple more functions. Like I would add a function, probably add a function to calculate the rectangle. I would add a function to calculate the um, triangle. And really, I would also add a function maybe to check uh, if it is a valid triangle. You don't have to, but those are some suggested functions that I would suggest implementing for this. I'm not going to help you with those functions. I'm helping you with the two functions that at least get you out of main. So I will help you with I already helped you with the menu choices function, and I will help you with the process choice function. So in the process choice function, you're going to, this variable Q is going to come in there. So you're going to have to check if the variable quit. So you just say if quit is equal to T or so we're going to do uppercase T and lowercase t. This is where I said if you really wanted to do a switch doesn't work well with strings. So if you've decided that you really wanted to do a switch, then I don't want to stop you from doing that. So you can do one change here and you can change this from a string to HR. But that's you can't change anything else in the main other than changing the data type of this variable, which then you would also have to change this part of the loop so that it would be processing a character instead of a string, and then you would have to change these parameters to be characters instead of strings. I'm going to stick with the string. So this is where you're just going to do this part right here. If they select a T, then here you would call the calculate triangle function, which you have to make, right? So I'm just going to put a little C out here that says triangle, just to make sure that this is working as expected. All right. If they select R, I think R was the other choice, then so if they select R is the other choice, then you would call your calculate the rectangle function. And your calculate the triangle function you would call calculate the triangle function. Maybe before that, you would call the check if it's a valid check for a valid triangle. You know, you have to kind of make up this. This is a part where you can, you know, everyone's code should be different. Everyone should be doing different things at this point. So this is the rectangle. You know, you shouldn't all have exactly the same code. You should be trying to figure out how you want to do it, what other functions you want to add, and then we would just say that it's not recognized, not recognized. All right, so this is the process choice function. This is the menu choices function. You're going to have to add some additional functions, a function to calculate the rectangle. You cannot call that function from main. The calculate the rectangle function is going to be called from here. So you're going to have to use reference parameters because the reference parameters are going to come from main. They're going to go to the calculate the rectangle, and you're going to be printing the results back in the main function. You want to be displaying, you can display the results in your function as well, but the point of this assignment is to practice passing functions and calling one function from another function and using pass by reference parameters so that you will be printing the results in the main function. All right, so let's check and see if our process choice is working as expected. Alrighty, so I enter my name. I'll enter X and I need a little more space here. So quit is X and it's not recognized. I enter T. Quit is T for triangle. I enter C. C is not recognized. I don't know why I have a C here. I thought that we were doing are we not doing a rectangle? What are we doing? Oh, we're doing a circle. Ah, okay. My So this should be a C. I have to stop here. This should be not a rectangle, this is a circle. So hopefully all of the instructions say circle. So you would call your calculate circle function. So all of you who are watching this, I'm not re-recording. I fixed it now, and so you would calculate a circle. All right, and quit is, so you need to remove this after you have checked that it works because that's modifying the main function. We have already checked that that works. All right, so you're going to your options are T or C. This is for a circle and this is for and I even said circumference. I don't know why I said rectangle, but anyway, that's okay. Let's try again. All right, my name, enter a T. Then this is the triangle. You're gonna, obviously it hasn't been calculated that yet. You have to add that part, enter a C. This is for circle, enter an X. Capital C is working, capital T is working, and Q quits. All right, so if you want to do this not recognized, I don't care if it says not recognized for a Q. It doesn't make a difference. It's good as long as the Q ends the program, but you could add another little condition in here if they put a Q. You could say, have another condition to say if they entered a Q, have a great day or something like that. All right, so hopefully this will help you with your to get started on this assignment. Again, the purpose of this assignment is to practice functions. So I want you to figure out how to calculate a triangle and how to calculate the circle and how to check if it's valid and how to do those functions, add those functions yourself.